If you've been scrolling through endless spec sheets, watching endless best of videos, and still feel like you might end up with a machine that looks amazing on paper but disappoints when you actually sit down to game, this review is for you. I've spent the last week running everything from fast-paced shooters to demanding creative suites on a few pre-built rigs, and I'm going to walk through why the Panorama RTX 5080 from Empowered PC Store might finally give you that confidence to hit buy. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest thing that trips people up with a pre-built like this is the trade-off between convenience and control. You get a system that's already assembled, stress-tested, and ready to plug into your monitor the moment it arrives. That's a huge time saver if you're not comfortable building a PC yourself or you just want to skip the whole "do I have the right power cable" nightmare. On the flip side, you lose the ability to cherry-pick each component, and the price tag can feel a bit higher than the sum of the parts if you were to buy them individually. The Panorama lands squarely in the middle of that equation. The heart of the machine is an Intel Core i9-13900KF, a 24-core, 32-thread beast that pushes 2.2 GHz at base and spikes well beyond when the workload demands it. In practice, that translates to virtually zero stutter when you're juggling a game, a Discord call, and a background render. I tested a 1080p Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 2 session with a live stream at 1080p 60, and the frame time stayed rock steady, even when the in-game action got chaotic. The RTX 5080, with its 16GB of GDDR5, handled the same title at ultra settings in 1440p without dipping below 100 frames per second, and it even kept a clean 60 frames per second line in a 4K Cyberpunk 2077 drive-B with DLSS set to performance. For anyone who wants to push 4K gaming now or keep a future-proof slate for the next generation of titles, the GPU isn't just a marketing line, it actually delivers the raw horsepower you need. One area that often gets glossed over in spec sheets is cooling, and that's where the Panorama's liquid-cooled loop shines. The system uses a closed-loop AIO that sits behind the motherboard, while 9 RGB PWM fans work the chassis for additional airflow. In my real-world tests, the GPU temperatures hovered in the low 60 SC under sustained 4K loads, and the CPU stayed around 70 C during a 30-minute stress test. That's comfortably below the thermal throttling zone and means the fans stay relatively quiet, roughly the noise level of a quiet office fan. If you're sensitive to background hum while you're trying to focus on a strategy game or a voiceover session, you'll notice the difference compared to a typical air-cooled pre-built that can get noisy when the GPU ramps up. Connectivity is another practical point. The unit ships with Wi-Fi 6E and a 2.5 gigabits Ethernet port, so you're not forced to rely on a single-band Wi-Fi router if you have a fast cable connection. The 3 DisplayPort and HDMI outputs give you flexibility for multi-monitor setups, which is handy for streamers who want a dedicated chat monitor or for creators who need a separate timeline window. The 2TB NVMe SSD provides a sweet spot between capacity and speed. You'll boot Windows 11 Pro in under 5 seconds, load large game worlds in a blink, and still have room for a growing library of AAA titles. Now, let's talk about the extras that often get overlooked in just the PC conversations. The package includes an RGB backlit mechanical keyboard and a matching mouse. They're not the flagship models you'd find in a high-end boutique, but they're functional, responsive, and the lighting ties neatly into the case's RGB theme. For a buyer who's already investing a premium amount, getting peripheral accessories in the box can shave a few $100s off the total cost of a fully decked-out setup. Who should buy this? If you're a serious gamer who wants to jump into 1440p or 4K titles now without tinkering with BIOS settings or worrying about whether your power supply is up to spec, the Panorama is a solid, worry-free option. Streamers who need a reliable platform that can handle encoding on the CPU while the GPU pushes high graphics settings will appreciate the headroom the i9-13900KF offers. Creators who run Adobe Premiere or Blender will notice the CPU's multi-core performance translating into faster renders, especially when paired with the RTX's hardware-accelerated ray tracing for preview renders. Who should skip it? If you're on a strict budget, the Panorama's price will likely be higher than a DIY build that hits similar performance numbers, especially if you already have a decent monitor and peripherals. Also, if you like to upgrade components piece by piece over several years, The liquid cooling loop can make swapping out the GPU a bit more involved than on a standard air-cooled case. The chassis is fairly large, so you'll need a decent amount of desk space, and the weight over 50 pounds means it's not the most portable solution if you frequently